Hi guys, it's Ernest from Proximal Consciousness. How you guys doing today? Got a great subject matter for you. Beauty. Now I know this is one of those interesting subjects, right? One of those subjects that's sometimes hard to get your mind around, to articulate. So I think I'm gonna try it. Okay? So we've heard in the past, or at least most of us have heard in the past, that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Now, I'm one of these skeptical kind of people. I hear a lot of terms like that. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And I say to myself, that can't be right. Most sayings like that are just not solid, not logical, not rational. But in giving it a little thought, I found that particular saying is not too far from the truth. I mean, beauty itself, or how we use the term, expresses an individual's affinity for something. It could be cars, it could be houses, it could be clothes, it could be people of the opposite sex. In most cases, when people use the term, they are referring to people of the opposite sex, right? When one person usually likes something strongly and another person maybe not as much, and someone comes back and say, well, beauty's in the eye of the beholder anyway, right? So human beings have unique characteristics. I mean, you got some people that come from genetic profiles and look fairly simple and similar, that is, and you have some that are quite different. I mean, every child is remarkably different in terms of hair and facial features and body density, bone densities, and things of that nature, right? When you're talking about women, you're talking about hair. You're talking about the length of the hair, the texture of the hair. Some people prefer very long hair. Some people like moderately long hair. Um, some people like short hair, right? You're also talking about weight. Some people like women that are very skinny. Some people like women that are moderately skinny, and some people like women that are what would be considered full-figured women. I mean, and we get more and more specific about these things. I mean, it could be, the breast size. It could be, the shape of the ear, the fullness of the lip, the straightness of the nose. It could be any of those things. The height, right? And for men, it could be generally not the length of hair. In our particular society, men with short hair seems to be prevalent, right? As a standard. Um, Women generally they get into the texture of the hair, whether it's straight or whether it's curly or whether it's a little more kinkier, or in some cases, some women like men without any hair, just bald headed. Yes, you get into the same issues when it comes to weight, when it comes to height, when it comes to muscle density, when it comes to the ears, the nose, the chin line, and so on and so forth, right? And these qualities are not just qualities that they look at in people of dating ages. They even look at young babies, small children, young adults, and sometimes older people, the older distinguished female or male. I mean, beauty is something that's applied all across the board, right? Some people are so much so into this idea of beauty that they will even take medical steps in order to change how they physically look, maybe even to change how their children physically look, in order to match some desired standard of beauty in their own eyes. And that's the important thing about, beauty. Beauty is viewed as, and should be viewed, correctly viewed, as something that one individual finds attractive about something other than some other individual. right? Now, you may be able to get a number of people together who may find the same thing beautiful about a person, a thing, or whatnot. And there's nothing wrong with that. But when an individual fails to just use it as an objective, analytical approach to something, some way of just describing something, it's beautiful, or it's moderately beautiful, or it's not so beautiful, and leave it at that, some people take it further than that. Some people will actually judge a person on their degree of beauty and become more discriminatory about it. Now, that's a horrible thing to do to someone in any society. I mean, to use it as just an observation and have it be just an observation. I mean, whether it's relevant or today and less relevant tomorrow or the next day, but to take it a step further and say, well, I don't like you because of your degree of beauty, or you can't do this, that, and the other as a result of your degree of beauty, is wrong. It's discriminatory. It's a violation of that person's civil liberties. And not only is it a violation of that person's civil liberties, the person who does things like that really doesn't understand what beauty is. It's a way of analyzing something. To get it wrong opens one's self up to not only ridicule, but it's an error in thinking. It's an error in judgment. It's an error in vision and thinking. I mean, we all are beautiful to someone. And as long as that is the case, never should we allow ourselves to view beauty as something that should control someone's life. We should never use it as a way of hurting someone, because it's not necessary. That's why it's great as just an objective, analytical way of classifying something, but it's horrible when we're judging a person about it. When we can't even look at that person, when we can't even talk to that person, when we can't have any kind of relationship with that person because we deem their beauty to be less than some standard of our own making, of our own choosing. When we full well know that there are people all across the globe that may look like this person and that may find a strong affinity to that particular look of that person. Now, how can we take a moment of our time to classify that person, to observe that person, and to criticize that person as if that person should be limited, should be controlled by their observation? That's when it gets wrong. That's when it becomes harmful and hurtful. That's when a society or a group of people become harmful and hurtful, because we can't always control what a person looks like. We can't always control that. There's nothing wrong in finding a person beautiful. There's nothing wrong in telling them, But the very minute that we find a person beautiful or not beautiful and use it as a means of controlling that person, use it as a mean of trying to control other people and what they say or do and believe and how they want to interact with that person, then we become wrong. We become dangerous to freedom. We become dangerous to healthy thinking and doing, right? And no society should want to approach life in that fashion. It's just too unhealthy. It's too dangerous, because that particular issue is generally out of all of our control. I mean, it fluctuates, it changes in a person's life. I mean, what we find attractive with a given person can change overnight, can change with a hairdo, can change with body weight, can change in so many ways, with illness or whatever, just age in general. It's not a healthy thing to do. I mean, it's okay to feel that affinity towards someone, but we should leave it at just that. That's our analytical take at that moment, but it doesn't mean anything beyond that. It's my analytical take. It's my moment of observation. That's the end of it. Somebody else out there in the world may have that same observation, may agree with me, and that's the end of it. It doesn't mean anything beyond that. Because we know that every human being matters. That every objective view of beauty is relevant to someone, if not just that on that person that we're looking at. You know, they matter. Everyone matters. We should matter to ourselves, and we should matter to other people. I mean, we shouldn't take away a person's right to classify something as beautiful. We shouldn't take away that right. Or to take away, but when you start saying that something is not beautiful, well, who isn't it beautiful to? Is it just not beautiful to you or to me? Or should it not be beautiful for everyone in the world? But we know that can't be the case because there are so many people in the world that look no different. Beauty is for us as an analytical tool, for an individual, right? Because you're going to always find people that find things beautiful more so than what you or I may find beautiful. And we shouldn't force people or encourage people to be less social, to be less involved in their lives, in their success, in their living of their lives with the idea that they are not as beautiful as this or that, and therefore shouldn't be entitled, shouldn't feel comfortable, shouldn't desire to do something, to wear something. I mean, especially if they feel beautiful in it, with it, right? So I thought that was an interesting thought, an interesting subject, because there are so many people that are feeling pain because of how they're being classified, how people are classifying them in terms of beauty or the lack thereof. And that's wrong. That's unfair. It's something that we should look at. It's something that we should take time to explore and deal with within our own hearts and within our own minds, because it's not a healthy thing to allow. It's not a healthy thing when you're looking at someone in a less than beautiful way. You know? No one is saying that you have to date them. No one is saying that you have to marry them or have kids with them. No one is saying any of that. So why should we allow ourselves to feel that way, to judge that way, to get together and judge people in those ways? We need to really focus more on freedom. We need to become more conscious about what's happening within our own minds, within our own hearts, within our own spirits, and how it impacts other people. Because either way, whether we classify it as beautiful or not, or less, or somewhere in between, that's just our classification. You know, we can still live our lives any way we want. We're not forced to do anything with anybody that we don't want to do. So why judge them that way? Why be so critical of a person? We're free to make our own decisions. We're free to decide on who to date and who to marry and who to socialize with. So why judge people that harshly? Why allow that sort of spirit, that sort of mindset to do that much damage to someone? You know? It's wrong. So that's my thought for today, guys. I hope you're liking these subject matters. I hope you're giving these subject matters some consideration. I hope you're subscribing to my channel, and because I love to talk with you guys. So I hope to talk to you guys again in the future. Bye now.